Hey everybody, NovelistCrim here, and welcome to Writing Company and Motivation. This is a stream that is dedicated to accountability, essentially. We get together, we show up, and we do whatever we would like to accomplish. That could be writing, could be art, whatever it is for the next 2 hours. We're here, we're together, and we like to listen to some music and chill out. It's a stream that's hosted on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. So if you're interested in seeing that, and you're catching this on VOD, be sure to leave a follow. It's a great way to get notified when we do this type of stuff. And yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the journal entry that I'm putting together today. Essentially, so we finally passed chapter 11, which is like a, thank God. We put in like about 2 weeks in 1 day about worth of work. We're probably going to put in just a little bit more today, in order to get some polish done, because like, of course, I finished it and I'm so excited to just get that shit done. Thank God we're finished. But it ended up being that when I was watching like Crow's stream, I was sitting there and I was thinking like, shit, I have an idea. Like, I gotta go back and like, edit something. So like now I gotta go fix a little bit. Not officially done with chapter 11, but soon I will be. And that kind of like brings us over, obviously, to chapter 12. This one's a special one, as is each one, it seems, these days. But chapter 12 kind of like marks the whole like barrier between like the first act and the second act. It's like the the point of no return, essentially, where it's like now you are officially in the new world, and supposedly you're supposed to have like some fun and games, and you have a brand new goal. You are no longer, caught up, and there's no questions as to whether or not you answer a call of an adventure. You're now on the adventure. So what do you do? So having that type of potential of like swapping over to the, from the first to second act is a little nerve-wracking, I gotta say. And it's probably nerve-wracking for a lot of writers as well. Mostly because it is a place where famously a lot of writers kind of like, go kaput in a way. They kind of like, when I was kind of starting off with like writing, I would write first drafts like crazy, and then like by the time you kind of roll around to the second act, or sorry, not first drafts, first acts like crazy, and then when you roll around to the second act, you kind of just don't really have any like momentum or any idea of how to fill the big middle, and it's a little spooky in that regard because you don't know what to do. I'm pretty sure like we probably touched base on like what's going on with the middle and like some other writing things, but it couldn't hurt to like discuss it a little bit again for those of you who are like currently working on your middles, and maybe there's something like you can work on, and maybe even some of this advice will help. But at least when I'm approaching like how I'm going to handle doing this middle, I like to divide up my stories into like 4 chunks. And basically, I'm looking at each chunk should be like essentially a question that is to be answered. I mean, there's like the overarching question of like what this whole stories are going to be about, right? And like say for example, an overarching question would be like, will Frodo throw the ring into Mount Doom? Overarching question, right? And the many questions that you ask along the way is kind of like the steps that are needed to answer that question officially, and show you like, okay, so this is where they logically came from. This is what it took to design this type of person who is able to do this type of thing. So in terms of the middle, I know that like the story is going to be about trying to teach the main character about needing to have this like found family and working together with others. That's going to be like the important theme there. So I know I gotta like include that a little bit. I have some loose ends from Act 1, and I should probably give those people who are kind of floating around some goals, and see if there's anything that I can do in order to tie that in with the main character, whether that be opposing him or perhaps aiding him. Don't know. But I think before I even get into those concepts of like I guess like floating components for what would make an interesting second act or a first half of a second act. I think that like what I want to focus on is like the middle, and what is my big twist in the middle. So usually like if you're from those of the school of thought from Save the Cat, let's say. Save the Cat is a book for the uninformed. It is written like, well, it kind of looks like this. It is a book that is written by Jessica Brody, but it is a concept that is coined or put forward by Blake Snyder, if I remember correctly. So Save the Cat is a really wonderful resource for those of you who are struggling with storytelling and don't understand how stories are put together. It is a great tool. I love it because it's like it's taught me so much about like seeing movies and understanding like why scripts work, or why storytelling works in general. I guess with that note, they kind of discuss like the midpoint of the story being like some kind of twist, and that could be either the false victory in terms of like the main character gets what they want, but maybe it's not exactly what they want, like or maybe like something they succeed but something happens, some kind of twist where it should be considered like a game changer. Or it could be a false defeat where things like seem hard, things are bad, and then they just culminate into this like horrible time. And yeah. So when they're going through the story, Save the Cat kind of like divides up the second act into like two halves, which is kind of like what I'm doing. And their philosophy is that if you're doing really good in the first act, like say for example you're doing really good, and then you hit a false victory, and then there's like some kind of game changer that flips the story around. That could be like maybe let's say for example if I were writing like a romance, right, and you've been hanging out with these, let's make it a love triangle for simplicity's sake. You have that the girl next door who's been your like best friend, and she's like wonderful, right, and you're having really good times, cool. But then there's that one girl that you're really, really after, like the one that you think will make you happy, and she's the popular chick, everybody loves her. You go and you're doing all this work to try to see if you can impress her, and then you finally, the false victory would be yes, she goes out on a date with you, and then you start dating and things are happening, and things are like wonderful. It's like, yes, I've succeeded at the plan, but it's a victory, but it's not really, because you start to discover that you have no chemistry, you don't like her, and things are rough. So like now, the next part of the story, the next half. So if you're doing really well, now you have to start going down in a decline that's called like the bad guys close in, So like when the bad guys are closing in, per se, and it doesn't have to actually be bad guys. There's not like a bunch of weird buff dudes like ready to punch you if you're dating this popular chick. But it could be something that's psychological as well. Like it could be that you start to discover that you have no chemistry with this person, and then you start to realize that you don't like her at all. And then every and in being with this girl, that you actually missed your opportunity to hang out with that chick that you really enjoy, right? The one who's been honest and loyal, and the one you actually love. And maybe like there's like other circumstances that pushes you guys farther away, and you're not willing to admit it yet, but then all of a sudden it keeps pushing farther and farther until the point where it starts to end in tragedy, or like where that all is dark moment, right before the act 3, where it would essentially be like, okay, well, she's decided to move away from the state, and she's going to be flying in a plane tomorrow morning, and you still haven't admitted your feelings, right? So that's basically like this short story that I just invented right now is an example of like how to set up a middle, essentially, right? So you're doing really good in the first half of the second act, then you have some kind of twist, game changer, whatever, and then you kind of just send it down toward the third act. Easy peasy, baby. But having that like that middle bit something like a twist to look forward to. It's kind of like it's the thing that kind of keeps you going toward the middle. It's the big explodey bit that like gives you the momentum that you require in order to get to that. I guess it's just like a reason to write, right? Like, you know, there's gotta like be moments in the story that you're really eager to write, and usually like you know, being called to adventure, that's a moment. The middle twist, obviously a moment, and then the big climax, like, you know, what's the big tragedy thing that happens? That's a moment too. There's these little like bits here and there that like are kind of like the trail of candy that is supposed to get you down the path, essentially. So, let's see here. Now, where was I going on with this? I kind of rambled. I apologize. Let's see. So that's some of the thoughts that I'm having with like how I'm going to be handling the second act here and what I need to plan for it. Trying to figure out like what kind of if I'm going on a good path, what kind of false victory will I need? And if I'm going down a dark path, how does that, you know, manifest itself too? I think I need to go down a positive path because the first act has been very dark, and to kind of bring lightness to the tone, and it would really show an opposite world, which I think would be kind of like nice for the story. Like you know, you have a nice flip where, you know, things were dark and now they're better, and then like, you know, you think like, oh wow, maybe he's gonna finally learn these lessons and such, and then like all of a sudden there's like some kind of tragedy where it kind of like flips it around for him, and you know, now it's like, no, I must do things on my own. I can't trust these people at all after all, you know. And it brings to question like that what it, you know, starts poking at the weak points of what he's built. So, you know, thinking of like how we can do that. Let's see here. Aside from that, let's see here. So I was talking to my buddy earlier today. We were having some interesting concepts of like, what do you call it? I had two ideas of like what I wanted to do. I was thinking a dream sequence, which kind of got shut down by not only myself but my buddy I was talking to him about. So that's good. And then we got a new. We're essentially just kind of shooting for a transition that kind of is like a very strong, defining like this is new moment. Aside from that, one bit of interesting concept that I received today, like a little bit of wisdom, perhaps, if you want to call it that. It was an application that was supposed to be made toward Dungeons and Dragons, but I think it's okay to apply it to like, you know, writing as well. I think a lot of things can be applied to writing if you're creative enough, I think. So let's say in this concept that my friend has put forward, which is really fun, he was saying that like for like Dungeons and Dragons, you have your character who's like essentially like water, and the water wants to go down the path of least resistance, right? Like if it could, it would do like a straight line all the way down to like the lowest, you know, the lowest bit of ground. That would be like what water wants to do. But like I guess, you know, and I think that could apply to your character as well. Your character wants to solve their problem in, you know, with the least resistance as possible. They want to go straight down to the lowest ground. But your job as a creator is to provide the adventure, you know, the things that are getting in the way, the things like, you know, you want that epic like twists and turns and, you know, a convoluted path almost that you know, kind of squiggles and shows. You know, I guess it kind of like tests the character and creates this adventure, these complications that make it feel like a wild ride, you know. So I heard my buddy like mention that concept, and I always thought, you know, well, I mean, I thought that like it was pretty awesome, so I figured I'd share it. Just a little fun bit of wisdom. Let's see. Aside from that, we did have a funny question that was delivered today, and I thought you guys would like this because it's kind of hilarious. Let's see here. So today's question says here, if you had to rewrite Horton Hears a Who, but the who was Satan, for what age group would the book be appropriate? Anybody want to take a stab at that? What do you think that'll what do you think age group that would be like appropriate for? I'll give you a hint. It's not children's. So, yeah. Yeah, but I put that somewhere. Yeah, teen to adult, obviously. Well done, Justin. You get the. If I could give you something special, I would. Let me see. Is there anything I can do to give you like a brownie point of sorts? How do I do this? Is there anything cool? I don't think so. Rip. All right. You get one finger gun. There you go. Enjoy that. It's very rare to do that. Super valuable. So like, let's see here. I read a Reddit comment today that said writers usually have the ability to make novel connections that others wouldn't. I'd also add that writers are problem solvers. I struggle with this a lot. Any tips for making connections and problem solving ideas? Interesting. Interesting. So, I mean, it's like, that's an interesting and complicated question to answer, mostly because it's like, it requires training your mind to like think in a certain way. Like, I guess like critically thinking or like analyzing your situations, and I guess like almost trying to seek opportunity, like that tendency to seek opportunity with what you're given on a day-to-day basis. I recommend. I think that's pretty much what it is, because it's like you know, you kind of just like look around, and any bits of data could just be, you know, random bits of data, but it depends on your like perspective and like what you think. You know, like, and how you like filter that through your mind, right? So it's kind of hard. I would say like asking questions is probably like a good start. Asking questions and then coming up with your own reasons as to why a thing happens is probably a good way to like figure out like some story concepts. You know, it's almost like you know, when a child asks you you know, their favorite question, which is why, you know, and then you explain something and they go further and asks why. They continue that line of questioning where you would just continue to provide answers and they'll continue to ask why. So like the idea is to like you know, you get an idea in your head, you get this like this spark of inspiration that kind of just like, you know, let's see, like for example, why did people sacrifice others to volcanoes? And you know the answer somewhat because of like, you know, what you know, what we've read about in like history books and whatnot. It's like, or at least what people theorize, which is essentially they're trying to sacrifice to some kind of god. But why? Why does a god need a person in a volcano? That's a question. Can you answer it? You should find a, you know, make up an answer. Well, they do it this way, and then you start, you know, following the trail downward and downward until you like have an answer to at least enough of things where you have like a story and something that like, you know, sounds fun to tell. It's like, oh well, you know, here's all the, you know, I got this idea for like, you know, a whole society of people who sacrifice to this one god, and you know, here's why they do it, and you know, maybe there's something that I'm trying to do to stop it or whatever, or maybe it's all a lie, or I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully hopefully that helps a little bit. Yeah, trying to like trying to like explain the thought process, I guess, might be a little bit helpful, but it's kind of hard to like just to like tell somebody you should think this way or think different all the time, you know? How many answers do you need to create until you stop hating them all? I mean, like, I would try to like, you know, try to change your perspective on like, you know, I think like, so if I were to give you like a piece of advice, like on life in general, it's like anything in life is never as good and is never as bad as you think they are, right? And the reason why I say this is because if you're looking for like a golden idea that's going to like jump out at you with confetti and, you know, have a wonderful blaring fanfare, not gonna happen. most ideas or most things that happen to you are rather mundane. So I think like, you know, having an optimistic view of like, well, I kind of like this thing, I find it interesting, and I'm gonna see what I can do with it, you know? It won't feel like an amazing, brilliant, oh my god, like my heart is exploding idea, but like it'll just kind of be, and you know, honor it, accept it, and see what you can do with it, you know? I think you discover a love for the idea when you spend time with it, and the more and more you kind of play in that playground of you know, asking those questions and figuring out answers and trying to like, you know, morph it into a story and trying to like almost like role play and play in the world that you've created, eventually you start to build kind of like a story that you want to share with other people, a game, maybe even I don't know, like an experience. I think you start to build an experience for yourself, and then you want to transfer that experience to other people's heads. You want to share that feeling that you felt yourself. I think that's like probably one of the driving factors of being a writer in general, is that like, you know, there's something inside you that like is inspired and loves that thing that you're doing, you know, and you just want to give that to somebody else. It's a nice little present. Aside from that, let's go ahead and answer your question while I'm working on this, because I can kind of multitask. So what I mean by like role playing in your world essentially is that I think like whenever you went to a movie theater, I don't know if this is just me, so I'm gonna try to ask the audience here if you've done this, and you know, you tell me if this is something you've experienced before. But like, you ever go to a movie theater and you watched an awesome like action movie, or just like, you know, some kind of thing that really like spoke to you, like a fantastic sort of, you know, feeling, and then after the movie you kind of daydream about it a little bit, like you're walking down the staircase, you know, trying to like make your way back to like, you know, the lobby, and you know, maybe their friends are like kind of talking about, you know, the movie and such, but in your mind you're thinking of yourself as that character, and you're thinking like, man, these are the things that I would do if I were in that situation, you know? Like, you know, if I had these powers, I'd be doing this. That type of feeling. See, that's what I mean by like the role play of like a world where you can just basically kind of almost self-insert your mind into that situation, and you start coming up with your own like little stories as to like what you think would happen, you know? And in doing that, you kind of like sometimes find yourself inadvertently coming up with your own stories, you know? You're like, well, I like this story, but what if it, you know, what if this happened instead, you know? Like, you can probably think of like maybe even like Pokemon or whatever. Like, if I were on an adventure, this is what I would do. Or if like every time you like look at a story, you're just like always thinking like, well, there's something that I would do instead, you know? Like, especially like, let's see, yeah, when you saw a good anime, yeah, usually that happens to me too. When you like see an anime or like some kind of cartoons or something that like, you know, calls your attention, you're like, if I were the main character, I would have done this. And like now you kind of just like are designing this character in your mind, saying like, I would rather a character that was like kind of similar maybe I'll change the powers a little bit to fit what I like better, but I like this character, so I'm going to take it and then just kind of like, you know, reshape it until it becomes my own, you know? And then you start like, you know, that becomes like a seed for, you know, a concept. You're like, well, I like, you know, doing this and I like doing that. So I want to see how this comes, you know, it's kind of cool. I remember a girl after a date started jumping and waving her arms, screaming, who's that movie with her? When I play Guild Wars 2? Yeah. You know what happens to me? Like, it's not movie related, but like, I don't know if anybody else has done this shit, but when you listen to like epic music, like, you know, the epic battle music and shit, like the, you know, the instrumental stuff, and you're just sitting there and you're just like pretending to like swing swords or shoot arrows, and you're just like picturing yourself doing all this like badass shit on a battlefield, and you're doing amazing. Yeah. Oh Lord, I have trouble with making decisions in real life, so making decisions in writing, where anything can happen, making decisions, process 100%. Oh yeah, I can see that. I think like so there are really good songs that make me feel that. Oh yeah, I think that like when you're doing writing and it's like hard to decide something, sometimes I just kind of take the whole like Taco Bell approach, you know, the whole like ¿por qué no los dos?, where you do you try to take, you know, you try to write both ideas down, and obviously either they both rock and, you know, you can fuse them together, or one really sucks and you like kind of hate it out the gate. It's kind of like rough to write, it's boring, you're not feeling it. Well, that's good. That means that that idea didn't work, and that's super easy. Let's see. What sounds sexy? I want something to feel good though. You can get there. So just like, you know, I would think of it like, you know, think of it as like, you ever see one of those guys who like spins, like they put a paint canvas on a drill and they're spinning that shit real fast, and then they just like throw the paint on the canvas? I think your rough draft should be kind of something like that, where you're like, all right, I'm gonna add some blue. Okay. I'm gonna add some orange. And I'm gonna add some brown. Okay, no, not that. How about some more this? All right, yeah, it's coming back, you know, that type of thing. I think that that's kind of like what the first draft would like end up being, where you start like, you know, spinning and you're experimenting, and eventually when you, you know, you're feeling it out, and eventually something like kind of solidifies into something that like, you know, you don't expect, you know, how could you possibly know what the result of that thing is, you know? It's a fucking piece of paint that's been spinning on a thing real fast. You have no idea what it's gonna like end up being, but at the end of the day, when you're done and you stop the spinning thing, 9 times out of 10 you're pretty satisfied with what you're looking at, and you're like, that's some good art, you know? So I think that that's kind of like one way to like you know, switch up your perspective and try to see if you know, that could help. I would say try not to take it so seriously, and like you know, enjoy the process that is writing, you know? Hopefully that helps. Other than that, fake it till you make it, baby. Force yourself to write. Sit down every day, painfully, miserably, until you like it. I'm just kidding. This is there when I have epic music playing in my headphones. I think I will overcome all the shit in life. Small tears. Floor. Oh yeah. No, I feel that. I love that music that gives you like the goosebumps, you know, where it's just like you know, you're just like listening to that. Some songs that give that to me, like you ever remember the original Spider-Man, like from the first movies? That shit, dude. Homie, dude, it's been a while, man. How you doing? How's life? Yeah, we've been doing streaming for quite a while. These past couple months, and we usually kind of are doing it on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. If you ever want to come by, dude. But I know I'm glad to hear from you. It's awesome. Also, hey, Hellish Mist, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. 6 people. Hey everybody, welcome. This is Writing Company and Motivation. Yeah, time zones destroy me, matey. Nah, I understand. Rough. So, are you guys writers as well? Our new folks that have stumbled on in? Welcome, welcome. Raid. Yes. Hey, thanks for the follow. Oh, dude, we're so close. 4 more. Woo! 300. Let's go. That's awesome. I'm a writer, yes. Did some gaming today, though. Needed a break. I feel that. What kind of game you play? Gotta go to bed, but wanted to say hi. Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. It's great to see you. I don't know if you've seen our... I think you are on Discord. But yeah, no, don't be a stranger, man. Like, if you want to talk at a different time, feel free to. Let's see here. He learned some big words in his game, though. Hey. Derailed. Underrail? Underrail. Oh, I think that's probably a new one I've heard. Haven't heard. Let me look that up. Underrail. That's a new one. Oh wait, that's the game. Might be. No wonder I haven't heard that word yet. Yeah, if I feel like I'm missing something, then other writers just instinctively understand. And not knowing what that missing thing is frustrating. Well, you know, not all writers are born, man. Some writers are made. So I think with a little bit of practice, you can certainly, you know, you too can become a writer. Just gotta, you know, keep plugging away at it, man. Give it a shot, and keep doing what you love. I mean, obviously you care about it, you know. It's something that is important to you. Yeah, I'm doing a medieval high fantasy with splash of sci-fi. That does sound pretty delicious. I like that. That's super cool, dude. A little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of medieval high fantasy. That's awesome. We talking like sword and sorcery? I love sword and sorcery. Trying to keep it as original as possible, but it brings the challenge. Well, yeah. How deep are you into this project? Like how many months are we talking? Or are you like, you know, starting brand new? It's too daunting. Well, you know, you have a goal that you want to accomplish, right? There, Justin. So like, you know, the goal would be writing a novel. And then I would just break that down into smaller and smaller pieces until you have a piece that you can actually handle and manage, you know? So just like work backwards from that goal, and it's like, okay, well, what does it take to accomplish a novel? And if you don't know the answer, you can certainly research it and look up, and there's different, like, you know, there's plenty of resources that can like kind of guide you on what to do in terms of steps. And then you know, you do whatever's easiest. It could be, as, you know, something as small and as simple as like, well, I want to write a sentence or something, or like I just want to write or come up with a random plan that's only 2 sentences long, you know. It's like whatever is manageable, and it's more about like planting the seed, you know? I think if you look at the big picture the whole time, it gets kind of like daunting, you know? And you're right to feel that, because it is a daunting task. It's like it's a lot of work, but it is doable. And if you find the right parts and you kind of plug away at it like every day, it's worth it. I mean, like, wouldn't it be weird to like tell somebody like the full duration of like what it's gonna take to to do a thing? It's like, hey, I know you want to be a writer, but in order to be a writer, you know, like somebody's like sitting down with you in like an office, and they're like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that it's going to take about 8 to 10 years of just trying random stuff for a while, thinking it's cool, and then eventually getting hit with an idea randomly, and that's going to take another 2 or 3 years to, you know, concoct. You still in? You know, like to have somebody like, you know, lay it out like that. I don't know if I it's like, here's your 12-year plan. I think I'd rather like take the smaller bits and just like kind of enjoy each day by day, you know what I mean? Like really deep in? Let's see. For the last 3 months, regular. 150 pages of characters. Hey, world building, races, yada yada. Planning everything out. Whoa, before I write, wow, there's 150 pages of planning. Holy shnikes, dude. That is pretty fucking deep, I gotta say. It's awesome. Definitely helping something as big as this. Supposed to be a 3-part book series. Sweet. Seed planted. Deep, dude. I found trying to make the whole outline thing too much for me. I kept obsessing over it and just decided to keep it all in my head and write from there. There you go. Yeah, I do like the whole pantsing thing. It's definitely up my alley. More of a road mapper, to be honest. Where I kind of like, you know, I have these nodes that I want to hit, but I don't really care how I get there as long as I get there organically and fun. So... Right, did we have any, what's it called? Any preference on the music in one way or another? So, but I'm starving, so I wanted to chill for a bit and lurk, get some food. Want to raid someone new that I have not seen. Well, I appreciate that, Hellish. I'll give you a follow in return, and thanks so much. Appreciate that. Hope to, at some point, be able to see some of your work as well. Because 150 pages of planning, that sounds pretty baller. 360p, yes. Classic. So, we're gonna go ahead and move on to like some of the music portion here. Oh, probably not an ad. Rip, that sucks. Had to reload, but yeah, gonna get some food. I'll be back. Sure thing, man. I wouldn't say better, I'd just say different, you know? So, let's get this party started, shall we? We've got lots to do. People to see, worlds to craft, all that good stuff. And we gotta pick up some music that we're gonna be using for this. You should be more focused on comparing yourself to yesterday. Like, are you better than the day, you know, before? Like, that's what I would do. Because, like, you know, it's easy to get paralyzed when you're watching what other people are doing, for sure. And sometimes it's like, you know, it has a tendency to, like, you know, make you feel bitter toward others. It could even potentially, like, lock you away from seeking that other person's help or like wanting to, you know, engage with them. So I think being more satisfied and excited about like every step of your own path, right? Like you know, when you write a paragraph or a chapter, that's an achievement. You should celebrate, you know, honor yourself as you move along, and be proud of what you do. You know, don't worry about what other people are doing. Just compare yourself to the day before, and if you're doing well and you strive to make each day at least 1% better than the day previous, and it could be the smallest effort, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish in a year, you know? I think that's like the whole process of like I think writing in and of itself, or doing anything worthwhile, is kind of like a hero's journey. It feels rough when you're starting off and you're becoming this you start off as a person who's like incompetent, and it's very uncomfortable to be incompetent, but eventually you do gain some type of competency, and at a point your ability begins to appear miraculous to others, you know? Whereas like, what would look like an overnight, like, instant knowledge success could just simply be like the culmination of many days trying and learning. Stopped writing a long time ago because of that, life situation. I was very good at coming up with stuff. Did produce stories like nothing. After about 10 years of writing, I've come back. It's awesome. I regret that I stopped my writing. My ideas are not as fresh. It's harder to write, but I still power through. Exactly. Yep. That's awesome. I'm glad that you actually you took the call to adventure. A lot of people give up on story, and they give up on their dreams. And it's not worth it. Taking the path, or taking the dive to do something that scares you and something that you are passionate about. It's like part of the adventure, It's worth it. So I ended up writing half a story. I did enjoy it, but I realized I made some mistakes. But I know what not to repeat. So even if I drop the story, I could just rewrite it better on another day. Not to mention all the other stories I can write better now with the experience. Right. So I think being more excited about your skill level as a writer growing versus the actual final product, kind of like the whole journey versus the destination type of thing. That's really good though. Thank you guys for sharing that. That's beautiful. And also inspiring. Sweet. Alrighty. I'm gonna make a decision here. We'll go with the usual EDM stuff, I think. A little bit of hype mix. See if we can get some energy rolling here. This is pain. In fact, this novel came out of a failed idea, I got a failed idea, and then I took the scraps of it and tried to do a backstory on a new idea, and then it turned into this thing. But it's if you didn't have the courage to try those random things. All right, guys, that's the last song of the evening. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys so much thanks for those who kind of stopped by. Thank you to Hellish Mist for giving us a raid tonight. We had about almost an average of 12 to 14 people today, which was pretty cool. I really am enjoying the fact that we have a lot of new friends showing up. We have a little bit more of a following, which is kind of cool. It's great to interact with you guys and then get all these stories and ideas of different walks of life, people who are still in the writing game and trying their best. It's pretty awesome. Anywho, I just wanted to thank you guys. We're going to be ending stream tonight, but if you don't know, my name is NovelistCrim. This was Writing Company and Motivation, an accountability stream where we get together and we do some writing. If you haven't, I recommend you leave a follow. It's a great way to get notified when we do this type of stuff. And we usually host a stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. So you can look forward to that. You can also check out our Discord by hitting !Discord in chat. And that's kind of like a great way to rub soldiers with other creatives that are either found here or elsewhere. We also have the journal entries that we do. We have the stream archives, which is kind of also like a posted link to the YouTube. So if you guys missed any content that we have, or you kind of want to revisit some of the talks that we have, don't worry. We usually do a highlight of those talks, and you can get access there. So other than that, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Take it easy, and as always, stay passionate.